Very exciting day here at Ultimate Collectibles. I am reviewing my absolute favorite statue. It is huge, as you can see. It's a quarter scale custom Magneto vs. Sentinel statue. It's not necessarily my best statue, but it is definitely my favorite. It is extremely complex, so this may be a little bit longer review, but let's dive right into it. So this is the custom quarter scale Magneto vs. Sentinel statue. This guy, just so you know, is actually not even in production yet. Well, it is in production, it just hasn't been released yet. It should be released in Q1, Q2 of 2019. This is one of the prototypes. I've had this for about 6 months and I absolutely love it. Again, with customs, we don't talk about where they come from. This guy retails for around $1,300-1,400 US. And there's a second torso switch out option which costs more, which we're going to talk about in just a moment. And then it's quite a bit shipping. So because this is the prototype, it is not factory paint, it is custom painted, and then it didn't come in any traditional packaging. So I really can't talk about anything like that, but it is a long sold out statue. It's a long sought after statue, and it's just phenomenal. So it comes with quite a bit of switch outs on top of everything that's on here, and we're going to talk about concept and design in a second. But switch out, it includes actually 4 different Magneto heads. So the first head, the one I like to display, is the helmeted version with Magneto's power screaming. And the cool part about this one is it actually has an LED light up, which I seldom use any of my light ups, but it is neat. Then it has this exact same portrait without the helmet, which is just as phenomenal, I think. And these first 2 are my absolute favorites. And then we have a traditional serious Magneto portrait, both with the helmet and then without. There's 2 other switch out features that this has, so you can mix and match. It comes with 2 torsos. There's the torso that I have displayed here, where he's kind of saying stop, or he's controlling something coming at him. And then the other one is where he's kind of lifting his arms up in the air and just in victory or whatever pose he's doing. I think both torsos are awesome. In fact, I have, because so many heads are great and the torsos are great, I have a production piece coming as well, so I can display both. And then the last switch out is there's 2 different types of capes. The one I have displayed here where he's kind of flowing back behind him, and then the other one where it goes straight down. And again, this is why I have 2 of them. I love both and I want to display all of them together. So concept and design. This is one of the most complex statues I have ever seen. And this could take quite a while to review this. So first of all, let's just start with the base. You have a kind of a rock rubble base with pieces of Sentinel strewn throughout it, pieces of metal, burners from other Sentinel statues. It actually has a light up function I never used from another Sentinel piece. Very similar to kind of the Magneto enthroned concept, even though it's completely different. He's destroyed all the Sentinels, he's put them together, and then on top of it you have this massive Sentinel hand, and this is just huge. To kind of give you an idea, this is kind of how it scales against some other Sentinel pieces. Here is the premium format Wolverine, and then here's the custom quarter scale Jubilee. And here is the sideshow Magneto maquette. So really there's 2 different things going on here. Either A, the hand is way too big, or maybe this is the King Sentinel or Monster Sentinel, which I can definitely believe with the display that it has going on. Then behind him, what I absolutely love, and XM I believe is doing this as well in their white Magneto statue, but he has X in huge, you know, wrought iron beam behind him that he's kind of put together, and there's guns from whoever he destroyed that are all stuck up against it. And then I love there's pieces, little Easter eggs of X-Men in here too. You obviously have Wolverine's adamantium body with his dog tags floating out, destroyed on Magneto. Behind him is his adamantium skeleton. You have Professor X's wheelchair just hanging. You have the Cerebro helmet. I have it displayed down there, but you can pretty much display that anywhere that you want. And there's pieces of the Sentinel coming out everywhere. And then you get to Magneto himself, and depending on which pose you pick, both are kind of magnanimous, Magneto, master of magnetism. Both are just, he's almost levitating above it, and he's conquered the world. He's the absolute king. It's the end showdown. So very complex and dynamic piece, and to actually have pulled it off is pretty amazing. When we get into the sculpt and the detail, it just gets better and better. But yeah, it's pulled off extremely well. My one criticism about the concept and the design of this is it's way too big. I still love it, and I have two of them, another one coming, but it is just so big and it commands so much real estate. But it's definitely a centerpiece for sure, not only because of the size, but the complexity of it. So where to even talk about sculpt? So I'll start at the bottom and move up, and as I do that, it gets better and better. And the whole sculpt of the bottom piece is kind of a mess, and I don't mean that in a negative way. I just mean it's purposeful, supposed to be that. There's pieces of the Sentinel coming out. There's pieces of I don't know what. There's some spots for some additional rock pieces that I never put in because this was the prototype. I didn't have any directions, and it was pretty complex, and some of them aren't securely in as the factory pieces will be. But it's just stuff coming out everywhere, and the sculpt is kind of, I've talked about this before, it's kind of hard to sculpt rock and stone to make it look real, and some of this may be explosions that are supposed to be happening, but it's just a huge calculated mess back here, and I think it's done well. It looks like it's supposed to look like, and then you have a few pieces where you have some cables and wrought iron and stuff coming out that look good as well. So Sentinel hand, I love the Sentinel hand. It looks exactly like a Sentinel hand should, I think. It actually has scratch marks from Wolverine on one side as well. Very robotic. There's no mistake that that's what it is. I think that the damage of the Sentinel hand, where the wires are coming out, both on the front right below Magneto, and then in the back, are perfect. I could talk a lot more on this, but it'll take forever just because it's such a complex and massive piece. I love how the X and the beams, the red iron beams and the circle were put together. The guns are phenomenal. They look like real guns. I mean, just even the detail on those that has been put together. Then the Wolverine adamantium skeleton is done really well. Not only does it a skeleton, but it captures, you can tell it's Wolverine even without the claws. Not a lot to it, but then let's get to Magneto, the star of the show. The sculpt, starting at the bottom, he has his traditional costume on, his boots going, they look very good. His musculature is very toned. As I said in one of my other Magneto reviews, in my opinion, he shouldn't be a really muscular guy, but everyone kind of portrays him as that. He's definitely a fit guy in this. He does have the classic diaper wear, which I know a lot of people don't like, but it is very traditional. Then his face, and here's where all the different portraits, just confuse you because you don't know what to display. His face is done perfect. It looks like a real human face, and part of the paint job really attributes to that as well, because the painter is just an amazing painter. And speaking of the paint, so this guy probably has about 50 different colors of paint on it throughout. And that's from anywhere in the rock and the rubble and the base, to the Sentinel hand, to the damage of the hand, to the different things coming out of the rock. Wolverine is obviously one color. The guns, even the detail of the paint on the guns, down to the trigger, to the safety, to the it's just unbelievable the amount of paint. And I'm really excited to see what the factory paint's going to be as well. But where the paint really steals the show on this guy is Magneto. This is the best painted Magneto I've ever seen by far. So the colors, the reds and darker reds and blacks and purples that are just mixed together at the absolute perfect quantities, and how they're mixed just blows my mind. And as you move up and you see the texture on the side of his torso, which I forgot to talk about during the sculpt, the texture is great. It's not too much, it's not too little. The paint app within that. I love the paint app on his hands as well, and his gloves, how it matches the cape and his collar. It's just perfect Magneto. It's shiny where it should be. It's more of a flat paint where it should be. And then getting to his portraits, oh my God. These are some of the best painted portraits I've ever seen. Very, very well done. I mean, from the inside of the mouth to everything. I can't imagine the talent it takes to do that. So that is, as quickly as I can, summarize one of the most complex pieces I've ever seen. I probably, when I get the factory production piece, will compare the two, because I'll see what has changed, what's better, what's worse. But this is an absolute fabulous piece. It's going to be the center to a large X-Men display I have coming with about 30 X-Men pieces. So this is absolutely going to steal the show. And then I also have a bunch of Magneto pieces where the other piece will be the center for that. So congrats to everyone who got this, but it's an absolute great piece. Just make sure you have enough room for it. So size-wise, width is about 17 inches or so. Height is almost 34. And then depth is also a monster, is right at 26, 27. So you definitely need somewhere to display this. And on another side note, this has so many cool things in the back, it's not bad if it's a centerpiece display. So that summarizes my review of the quarter scale custom Magneto vs. Sentinel piece. If you enjoyed it, I have a lot more customs and prototypes and licensed pieces I'm going to review. So please subscribe, please like. Thanks so much.